Hello, I am Michelle with two L's.
And I'm Natalie the Red.
And we are Force of My Entertainment. And we are here, guys. We made it to the end of Volume 1, Stranger Things Season 4.
I clap, but I'm also sad because I have to wait, a few weeks.
But you know what? I'm just going to go back to the beginning and rewatch.
Yeah, it's even better on rewatch, honestly.
I'm sure, because there'll be little things you catch.
Totally.
But yeah, we are going to be reviewing a spoiler review of Chapter 7, The Massacre at Hawkins Lab. And I just got to say, wow. The episode's
dang.
The episode's really good. And it starts off, my beloved Steve was in danger at the end.
She actually, okay, I have to tell this. True story. So because she knew I had seen all the episodes thus far, she texted me.
It was like 10 o'clock at night.
She had watched episode 6. So the end of that episode where you see what's happening to him in the Upside Down. And she said, I just have to know before I go to bed, is Steve going to be okay?
I said, I know he will be okay, but I need to know he'll be okay.
She had to do that to get her good sleep.
I know it was gonna. Yeah, I had to know just for sure. I mean, I knew he was gonna be fine, but I need to know he'd be fine. And yeah, it starts off right there with Steve, and he's being attacked by those demon bats.
Those devil birds.
Die, devil bird! That's what I felt watching this. But man, that's kind of how it is. Nancy comes in, boom! Yes. Nancy and Eddie and Robin.
Yeah, and that was just like that. I loved that action sequence.
It was good.
With the birds and just like, and then Stranger Things, another thing, well, we're going to say a lot of things that they do well because they do a lot of things well. They do a lot of things. They get a lot of things so right.
Yeah.
But just like whenever it's like a group really working together.
Oh,
yeah. Like I'm like, oh, I love it.
Yeah. That fight was great. And then I love Eddie's like, he's like, man, you went kind of Aussie on that. And Steve's like, what does that mean? And Steve doesn't know the situation. He's like,
it's a very rock and roll thing.
Yeah, he goes, it's a very metal thing. And he's like, who knew Steve was like a good guy? And that really is how it's like with Steve.
Yeah.
He's not the douchebag that they, even in season 1, they're like, that douchebag Steve Harrington, the kids say. And now he's beloved. And I thought it was sweet.
He beat the odds. He's an awesome guy.
He is. He really is. I thought it was sweet too. He brought up to him how much Dustin looks up to him. Yeah. Because you could tell how much it meant to Steve.
It was so cute. Just their interactions about Dustin when they're like, it's the tone, right? Just like they're like dads together or something over Dustin.
Because Dustin does use such a sarcastic tone with them at times. Like, you guys are so stupid. That was pretty funny. So yeah, that intro was awesome. And then of course they're off to the Wheeler house because Nancy's got guns because Nancy's Nancy.
Because Nancy is Nancy.
Yeah. So they're off on that. And then I will say it really made me laugh. Of course, Dustin, Erica, Max, and Lucas are at the Wheeler house with the police and with their parents. Mr. Wheeler's called Mr. Wheeler.
He really has consistently over the season just delivered the funny dad lines like no other.
He has. He goes, as they're just sitting there like all lied, he says,
and the parents are so concerned. Like,
yes. Oh yeah, they're all worried for the kids. And Mr. Wheeler just, maybe a little jail time would loosen his tongue. And Dustin
will loosen their lips.
Will loosen their lips. And Dustin just goes, okay. Like it was just the back and forth of it.
And just honestly, Dustin and Mr. Wheeler's interaction.
They can't stand each other.
That's been building over seasons 2. They're little, and at this point, he just, Dustin's just like, it's like he doesn't even try and take him seriously.
Yeah, he just goes, okay. like really, dude? Yeah, so that was really funny. And then of course Dustin is ultimately able to figure out he figures out, oh, they're that stupid. They went into the Upside Down without us being there for their backup. Because at first he's like, no, there's no way they're that stupid. And then he sees the lights, he's like,
of course they went for it.
They're that stupid. But Dustin being Dustin is able to figure it out.
That little genius.
He is a little genius. He's able to figure out that Vecna is creating portals.
Yes.
And
seems like wherever
wherever he kills.
Murder happens.
Yeah, wherever he kills. And then it was cool when they were able to figure out how to communicate with them. And the way in the Upside Down when they would touch the light and it was almost like magic.
That was just like straight up fantasy types.
It
I
was.
love that.
That
Kinda
was
like a daydream or something.
that was almost like Willow level magic. Like type
Yeah.
of fantasy.
Almost like pretty,
Yes.
when their hands were in it and stuff.
It was. It absolutely was. And then another big thing that you've got in this episode, which was awesome, is they had led up to, it's been, they hinted at it was coming. So all those prisoners are thrown into like a pit base. It's almost like cage fighting.
It is.
Literally. It's a cage fighting.
With zero chance.
Yeah, with zero chance. And they even they have those rules. If you break this, we will shoot you on the spot.
Yeah.
Like they don't give them any good odds.
No.
Like the odds are never in their favor.
No.
And
because that's what they're basically, like they're there just to feed, as that one really evil guard says. Like,
yes. And to help the Demogorgon get better at his fighting, which we see he has. Like, this Demogorgon is fast and ferocious.
Yes.
Man, when it comes out,
like
and just
he's been eating his Wheaties, or AKA Russian fritters.
Man,
yes, he is strong and ready to roll.
But the way they do that, and the anticipation, you hear the cries, they're already waiting for it. Okay. Hopper's in the front.
Yes, and at that point,
and he can't get it to light.
He can't get it to light yet. At that point, you've got Joyce and Murray
watching.
Like Joyce is just like, and then you've got the Americans are tricky when he pulls the gun on the Russian guy.
Yes, that was good.
And but yeah, it's just like such a great scene. Like the whole sequence, you're just like, from them and that going on to that going on, just the anticipation that builds, and it's just like awesome sequence.
That was one of the best action sequences, and they've had some good action sequences in Stranger Things, especially like season 2 with the Demi dogs. But this action scene was awesome, and they definitely, you can see where the bigger budget went. Like the CGI for the Demogorgon was so much better than season 1.
Yeah,
I mean, you can tell how much more money's put in the show now.
So much better.
I mean, when it just jumps out and leaps over Hopper, I wasn't expecting to see a guy's head be chopped off by the Demogorgon, but here we are, guys. We got it.
It was intense.
It was a very intense fight. Like, it was like jaw dropping.
They were not doing what Hopper told them to do either.
No, they weren't standing. They weren't standing there together.
Yeah.
Well, and what the guard
not
was
that realistically most of them had a chance.
No, they would have ran. But yes, of course. And then too, Murray, he uses karate to get there. Murray and the karate, man.
Murray can do most things at this point. I mean, Murray's awesome.
He is awesome. But yeah, that whole scene with Hopper, and then of course, right in the nick of time, they're able to get the gate open. So Hopper, and yes, my prison guard made it out. I was so happy.
I know, I love him.
I was because when I mentioned it yesterday, when we filmed the other video, you didn't say anything, and in my mind, I was like, oh gosh, I bet he dies. She didn't say anything when I said, I hope he lives.
Because I'm not a spoiler.
But I was so happy that he made it out with Hopper.
Now it's like, I care about him enough.
See, I care about him a lot.
Like, Stranger Things does so incredibly well. It's like you can, and our brothers pointed that out about the, got tongue-tied there for a second, the show. But it's like, you can know somebody for such a little amount of time as a character, but you're like, oh, I like them. I don't want them to get hurt, or I don't want them to,
yes.
Like, you care about them already, kind of.
Which just speaks to the writing ability of the people working on the show. How much they care about good character development. Any new character, Eddie and this guard, like, you care about at this point. Like, you want them to make it out alive. You deeply care. So I was happy he got out. And then we got the moment we've all been waiting for.
I might have.
I rewound it. I
might have teared up the first time I saw it.
I mean, it was so pure. It was so sweet.
And just the fact that there really weren't words.
Yes.
It's like, there were no words.
Like, they were speechless. They were speechless.
But just such relief and love, just between them.
And just his smile as he puts his head he puts his head down on her head. Like, it was just was such a sweet moment.
Like, I'm finally here. Like, this is real. This is happening.
Yes. And he knows, let's just be real, guys. He doesn't need to wonder if Joyce loves him. The fact that Joyce is standing there in a Russian prison should tell him she's crazy about him.
Kind of like his guard buddy basically tried to point out to him.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not just friendship.
No, that's love. That's love. And you felt it in that moment. And I loved it.
Sweet.
I love that moment. So then you get in the Upside Down, and they figure out, so the Upside Down is stuck in 1982. or 1983. 1983.
That's right. Like when the show started.
Or yes, 1983. Yes, because she sees, and there was the callback to season 1 of those cards when she was studying with Steve.
Right. Yes.
And let's just say Nancy is really feeling some Steve in this episode.
Like Steve.
There were some moments.
He's looking better and better as this goes on to her, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on. How do you not love Steve?
And then you've
Nancy?
got Eddie encouraging Steve, like, hey, like she didn't hesitate 1 second. She jumped right in that lake after you.
And I love that. I love that.
That's love, man.
That actually parallels what we just said with Joyce and Hopper.
Yeah.
And then you've got it with Nancy and Steve, because she did it. As soon as she felt,
like, she didn't even think about it.
As soon as she knew Steve was in trouble, boom, she was in the water after Steve. And Eddie's right in what he's saying about that. Definitely. And both of them. Robin followed too. And he points out Robin followed as well. But it also was a pretty cool scene when they figure out how to get them, when they so they go to the trailer park.
Yes, that was very cool.
The way it's like
trippy.
It was trippy the way they go up, but then they fall down.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. That was a cool scene. And then when you think everything's good,
yes,
Nancy falls and keeps falling. And all of a sudden she's back at that house in the upside down.
I have a fear of falling, so that really is kind of a nightmare in of itself.
Yes, and Steve sees her eyes are going like this.
Yeah.
And man, of course we knew, and they went for it, what he would use against her. And we're back in Steve's pool in season 1, and her seeing Barb's body the way it is at the end of season 1 when Joyce and Hopper in the upside down.
You know why they wrote that in? Was justice for Barb. I'm kidding. I don't know this. It was great to tie that in, though.
It was, well, because she did feel such guilt. We knew that from back then, so it made
Barb
sense.
Barb was a sweet, good girl.
She was.
She didn't deserve what happened to her.
She did not. She did not. They say only the good die young.
It's
but anyways,
rest in peace, Barb.
Yes. So that was a cool scene, and then it ends with Nancy still in the upside down. So I'm sure I'll pick back up when we come back for volume 2 with Steve trying to figure out how to get Nancy out of this and get her through.
Well, and important with Nancy within this episode, he's really kind of telling her the story.
Yes.
He's really kind of like taking her through, like, I guess, his memories and letting her see.
Yes, that's right. He begins to walk her through, and that's where all the pieces of the puzzle begin to come together, which we'll get into 11 in a minute. It ties so perfectly as 11's figuring this out, Nancy's figuring this out.
It's just,
and
guys, this is great.
It was great TV. It's great TV. But yes, and I wonder, Nancy surely, because she's so good at like reporting and finding stuff out, surely she recognizes this is like what 11 was in when she saw him in the chair, like looking like 11 with his head shaved.
Oh, true.
I'm sure we won't figure that out until the next episode, but I'm sure Nancy was putting together, like that's kind of like 11. And she's probably even seen pictures of Dr. Brenner. I'm sure she has at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, as they showed, and I did not see that coming. The only thing I will say is, like, how did one get his powers to begin with? That's the only thing I don't have answers for at the moment.
Well, they say he was a sensitive child, and as a sensitive child myself, an adult, unfortunately, I don't have those powers.
Well, I don't think you necessarily need those powers.
Not to use them the way he did.
Yeah, I mean, gosh,
But so, yeah, I don't know exactly, but just it's like harnessed, but his was like for evil. Like,
yeah, his was like really evil from the beginning.
He sort of harnessed it mentally to be able to,
but
so he was kind of like the start, I guess.
But then I liked how they pulled that in to where it makes sense that Brenner would then want to study, how did he get this way?
Right.
And then
how does he have these abilities?
And then that's very Brenner to cast him aside and be like, let's create something that I can control.
Right. Yeah.
That type thing. So
Makes
then
sense.
So then on the flip side of this, you get 11. And 11 is reliving that memory. Brenner's told her, like, you got to go through it, honey, basically. Like, you got to see this to get your powers back. And anyways, he's not that kind to say honey. But anyways.
Sweetheart.
Yeah. So we finally get what happened at the very beginning of the season. And as I've been saying, I knew my girl didn't kill these kids.
Of course
not. I knew she did it. And we see, and I knew that guy was creepy. He was so creepy. and he gave me bad vibes.
I did figure out, which I'm sure a lot of people did. I'm like, that's got to be one.
I
Like,
kind of had questions when he began to ask her about one. It was like, no, he's real. Like I did put that, but I didn't see coming until it's like they parallel with Nancy's story of her hearing this and then him, and you see the eyes go so blue.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's Vecna.
Yeah.
Like that's him.
Right.
So that was a really cool reveal.
Really cool. I mean, and you know, horrifying for her
Yes.
to walk in and just how he's like, I told you to wait outside.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really creepy.
And do you know what? Also, if you pay attention to the small like details sometimes in Stranger Things, you notice when he's having that cool scene, like where he's had the thing removed, and she at first you're thinking, okay, he really is this good guy, or like, you know, you're like, he kind of has been creepy, and he had that weird smile when the thing was going to come out, and that kind of, but it's like he seems good. But do you notice that last guard put his hands up, kind of like, I'm surrendered, but he kind of gave him the most brutal.
Yes.
And it was like, you should have known right then, like with Stranger okay, this is a bad guy.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
is not an 11 that's merciful and like only kills when she feels truly in danger.
The second that she pulled that out of his neck, you're like, this is about to go really bad. Yeah. Like this, of course he's about to massacre everybody. But then we see what she does, and little 11, little tiny, like 10-year-old 11 at this point, just like, boom, like she's like, nah, because he had her up where he was about to pull the eyes, do that creepy crunch. Her hands even begin to crunch a little. Yeah. And she's like, nah.
And it was like she took his advice.
She did. She just let the rage. She let the rage go out and sends him into the upside down. And Vecna was born.
I guess, yeah, like then creating. So it's all very interesting to see these final episodes coming up. I'm sure it's going to explain so much more of this world and how it works.
Yeah, but this episode, to end this volume 1, it was a phenomenal episode. It was so satisfying in some storylines, and then also leaves like, like I want to see what else happens here.
It's like when you think about all of it, and like you said, how it all kind of goes together. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, dang, it's so good.
It kind of makes me think what they always say about Star Wars. It's like poetry, like how there's so much like repetitiveness.
Yes, and things connect together.
Yes,
yeah, very cool.
This was an awesome episode, guys. So giving this my rating, 5 hoots across the board. This was an awesome episode.
This is a 10 out of 5 hoots.
Yeah,
we just upped the hoots.
where we used to give 5, we now give 10 apparently. But yeah, this was just a fantastic way to end volume 1. I can't wait for volume 2.
Yes,
and we will definitely be covering the 2 episodes as they come out. Very excited. But guys, what did you guys think? I thought this was an awesome. All volume 1 was awesome, and this final episode, chapter 7, was just fantastic. So things happen I didn't think were going to happen. I mean, and just. It was awesome. I can't say that enough. Anything else?
It was epic.
It really was
a cheesy word, but it's like, you know, it's all I can really just sum it up.
It really was. So guys, that's it for volume 1. What did you guys think? Share your thoughts below about anything volume 1. Spoilers obviously here, so say whatever you want in the comments. Yes. But yeah, what did you guys like? Let us know what you're rating for Stranger Things volume 1. And again, be on the lookout. July 1st, I believe, is when this volume 2 comes out. We'll be covering that. Excited for it.
Yes.
So yeah, if you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also give the video a thumbs up. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light.